Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is just a quick video. I've been meaning to do this video for several weeks now, and it's regarding safety. Going off grid, I'm assuming that a lot of the guys out there, you're going to be doing all the work yourself. I know that there's some off-grid people that I follow on YouTube. There's sometimes he's building a house in the middle of nowhere. And he's completely alone. Now, all my life, my father said, don't pay somebody to do a job you can do yourself, and learn how to use your hands. And I've tried to do that my whole life. A little bit of carpentry, a little bit of DIY, etc. And of course, that will come in great. With going off grid, I can do a lot of the work myself. Now, a little bit of background about me. In my early career, I worked at heights a lot, and I was trained in the UK how to work at heights safely, and also how to train people to work at heights safely. So working at heights, working on ladders, I've done it my whole life. It's never been a concern. I've never had an accident working at heights. And in October, I started painting the outside of the house on all the siding, and it was just a normal job. Clean it, paint it. It was going to take me about 8 days to do it, and on day number 6 we have a covered porch on the far side of the house and a screened-in porch on this side. Now, I was working on the covered porch, and the fascia board around the covered porch is about 8 inches wide, and I had the ladder leant up against the fascia board as I was moving sideways painting the fascia board. Now, whenever I present a ladder to a job, I double check it, I make sure it's secure, I make sure the angle's correct, blah 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 blah. I do it, I'm anal about it. People say I'm a safety Nazi on site, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, as the old saying goes. So I double checked the ladder. I have 2 ladders for working around the house, a big ladder, a 30-foot extension, and a 15-foot extension. So I was using the 30-foot extension, and it was not extended at all. It was completely down. And it has the flat feet on the bottom of it. They were good, and the angle was good. And so I climbed the ladder and started to paint the 8-inch fascia board from left to right. While I was on the ladder, and I'm probably 7 feet up, the ladder slipped. The ladder slipped and I fell. I turned to try and jump, because as professionals we don't fall, we jump. That's an old saying for people who work at heights on ladders, etc. But as I turned, I didn't turn quick enough. As I came down, the ladder came down and hit the handrail that is around the porch. And I'll put a picture of it just in the video. And the ladder hit the handrail of the porch, and as I came down, my right leg hit a rung of the ladder. But the momentum of me coming down and the ladder, the knee hitting the rung of the ladder, it sprung my leg back up and split open my leg just below my right knee. Now, over the years, I've had injuries, little injuries, scars and cuts and blah blah. It's nothing. There's a lot of times I don't seek medical help regarding it. I just let it fix itself. Well, I looked down at my right leg, and below the knee there was for want of a better word, a gash that was approximately 8 inches around my leg and 3 inches wide. So it went around my leg this way, and it was about 3 inches wide. So I knew straight away that I wasn't going to be able to take care of this. Now, fortunately, it happened here in Atlanta. We have a fire station at the end of the neighborhood. You call 911, they're there within 6 minutes. And also fortunately, Julie's son, who lives next door, was home. So I knew when I saw the injury that I wasn't going to be able to take care of it myself, and I was going to need medical help. And I also didn't know how much he was going to bleed. So I immediately had Austin call 911. I'm on the floor. I don't want to move because of the extent of the injury. It's called a what's it called? It's a serious injury. Traumatic, that's what they call it in the medical, a traumatic injury. So that put me in the hospital for the day, having it repaired with I think 30 stitches internal and 20 stitches external. Came home, I had to keep my leg straight. They said that there may be damage to the knee. I did actually break the patella. So I was incapacitated for pretty much. I was incapacitated. It happened on November the 6th, and I wasn't walking unaided until into December. Now, at day 7 of being on antibiotics. And also in the hospital they gave me antibiotics, and they gave me antibiotics to come home with. They also gave me a tetanus jab. It's been more than 10 years since I had a tetanus. And a week after being at home, Julie was changing the dressing, and I noticed an odor. And I'm being polite in how I'm saying this. And I thought, what is that? What is that smell? What is that smell? And I asked Julie to pass me the dressing that she had removed, which was covered in blood. And I smelled the dressing, and I knew immediately that it was infected, and it was terribly infected. And I'm going to post some pictures of the injury from day 1 through about 4 weeks. So if you don't like to see blood and injuries, then please don't watch that part of this video. So because I had antibiotics left at home, I had a day and a half of antibiotics left. I said to Julie, I said, look, let's just see, I'm on the antibiotics. Let's just see if it will fix itself. Well, of course, the day and a half went by, and no, it didn't fix itself, and it was getting worse. And I could tell the leg around the injury was starting to go dark red, like a black-blue color, and the odor was getting much worse. So that was a week after being home, after November the 6th, when the injury occurred, and went back to the hospital the next day, and they admitted me, and I was in hospital for 7 days. And in that 7 days, I had antibiotics intravenously admitted to me, pretty much 24 hours a day. They were giving me so many that they had to check my blood every 6 hours to make sure they were not giving me too many and were killing my liver. So the reason why I'm making this video is, over the years I've learnt some first aid and CPR and what to do in an emergency. We have several medical kits around the house. We have some in the trailer, we have one in both vehicles. But do we know how to use them? Like, we got a medical kit with sutures and stitches and that sort of thing. Do we know how to actually use them? And I think it's super important for everybody, not just people that are going off grid, to learn a little bit of how to take care of an injury to yourself or somebody else in an off-grid scenario, or in a middle of nowhere scenario. If it had happened in Colorado, it would have been a 45-minute drive to the nearest hospital. Now, because of the extent of their injury, I did not know how quickly I was going to start losing blood. 45 minutes is a long time to get to a point where you're not bleeding anymore. So a little bit of medical training would help people in that scenario, and show people how to stop bleeding of a wound, no matter how severe. Even if it's an open artery, you can, with just a little bit of training, you can understand how to stop the blood coming out of an open artery. So I think it's important. I have had I've been fortunate that over the years I have had safety training, and I do keep a calm head in situations like that. But I think I'm 52 next week. So I've spent my whole life working, doing things for myself around the house. Nobody does my landscaping, I do it myself, etc. And what it taught me is that even with all the training, and even with me being anal about safety with ladders, accidents can still happen. As freaky an accident as this was, it should not have happened. It was completely my fault. It happened. And you wouldn't think just a ladder slipping and dropping 7 feet. You see YouTube videos all the time on America's Funniest Videos where people just fall and then people who are videoing them laugh. Well, working at 2 feet, you can die. Okay, that's what they say. The health and safety executive in the UK, when I was doing my training, working at heights of 2 feet, people die all the time just at 2 feet. So get a little bit of medical training. Watch some YouTubes on how to deal with a wound, how to deal with a head injury, how to put somebody in the recovery position, how to stop somebody from not biting their own tongue if they're having a seizure. All these things are going to help you and everybody else around you, even more so if you live in the middle of nowhere and it's an hour to the nearest hospital. It can mean the difference between life and death, seriously. So that's what this video was about. My leg's on the mend. I've got a beautiful scar that looks just like a shark bite. So there's some stories I can make up regarding it, but it could have been much worse. The infection that I got was trying to kill me. It was in my blood, and it was a very serious infection. Now, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're pig-headed and stubborn like me, and you've been to the hospital that's an hour away, and you've had the stitches, and you're home with antibiotics, and it's okay, it'll fix itself, the infection will go away. Well, unfortunately, it won't. There's a lot of things the body can heal itself with, but with a severe infection like I had, the body will not fix it. The body will you'll end up losing a leg or losing your life. And if I'd have left it several more days, being stubborn, every medical advisor that I spoke to, which was the hospital doctor, the orthopedic surgeon, and the infectious diseases surgeon, all said to me that if it would have been a completely different situation if I'd have waited another 5 days. Now, I didn't have any of the symptoms that you can get with an infection, which is hot sweats, fever, shivering, etc. I didn't have any of that. These are all warnings telling you to seek medical advice. So I'm going to put some of the pictures of my injury up, and this is just that. Then the reason why I'm doing this video, and the reason why I'm showing the pictures, is doing a simple task at 7 feet. Painting the side of the siding on the side of a house can potentially injure you greatly, and even more so than that. Me going forward, working on a ladder, has anything changed? Yes, it has changed. The safety part hasn't changed, but I'm aware now that my body is it can be hurt. You know, I'm an Englishman. I've come through my life. I'm invincible. You know, I nothing can harm me. Well, it can, and when it does, it put me in. It incapacitated me and put me in bed for about 3.5 weeks. I was in bed. The only time I got out of bed was to shower and use the bathroom. The rest of the time I was in bed, incapacitated. That's no fun whatsoever. Now imagine if we were off grid and I was incapacitated for 3 months, for 3 weeks. Julie could not do a lot of the tasks that you need to do in an off-grid scenario. Julie can't carry wood. Julie can't lift anything heavy. She's petite. She has no real strength. So just being more aware and be mindful that accidents can happen, and have what's the backup plan. I going forward, I'm going to have a backup plan whenever I'm working on a ladder. I'm going to make sure that there's somebody around, and if I've got the slightest inkling that it may be there may be an issue, I'm going to have somebody stand the ladder for me. Standing the ladder means there's somebody at the bottom of the ladder with their feet on the ground, with their feet butt up against the bottom of the two sides of the ladder, and their arms holding onto the ladder. If I'd have had somebody standing my ladder, it would not have fallen. The person at the bottom would have stopped the ladder from having that slight slip, and then because I was at the top with that little slight slip, it just gave it enough momentum to fall. So that's it, guys. Stick around right now. I'm going to show the pictures, and this will be the last video of this year, 2021. Thanks for hanging around. If you've enjoyed our videos this year, please do subscribe. It helps us greatly with YouTube. And put a comment below if you any of the videos that I've put up. If you have any advice, that you saw that I was making any mistakes. This is Off Grid for Beginners, and that's exactly what Julie and I are. We are beginners. And that's about it, guys. Have a happy new year, and we will see you in 2022. There are plans to go back over to Colorado and potentially put in the driveway, but we will see about that. We have an event in the first quarter of next year. Julie and I are tying the knot. I figured we've been together 10 years and she hasn't killed me yet, so we could probably do another 25, 30 years. But yeah, so that's more in the works for the first quarter of next year. I will the bees, because we've had such a mild December, last quarter of this year. The bees are still bringing in pollen, so I know we're going to have a good harvest of honey. And obviously I'll make a video of that, and that'll be probably around about March, April time. Okay, thanks for watching, take it easy, and Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.